Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, look at this motley crew we have put together tonight. Damn. You know, some of us are better looking than others, but overall, like the average here in this 6 is pretty high. I can't lie. Although I think the top row may be a little better than the bottom row. Just saying. But if you're a smart ass, I'll move you around on the chart here. I can shuffle people around. See, so you know, if you want to stay in the top row, you got to earn it. Okay. I want to welcome everybody.
One place you don't have to
watching.
worry about me being.
Jake, I love it. I want to introduce everybody. If you guys are watching right now, you don't know everybody. Rain Man here to my left is none other than Tyler Crossnow, who runs VMP and is one of the man of mystery behind the PDRA, as well as owner of a badass dragster, a badass 69 Camaro, and a racer in his own right. So good to have you, Tyler. Appreciate it. Of course, Ryan Wing in the house, as always, Streetcar Chronicles, the other big beard in the house. The other one below me here, Trevor Hayes, one of my longtime friends from California, now out in Tennessee, owner of Gearhead Solutions. Trevor has been a bracket racer forever in that beautiful blue Camaro that is behind him right now. So it's never been prettier. So glad to have him in the house as well. Warren Evans, of course, no introduction needed, drag racer TV, former track owner, announcer, and one of my partners in crime whenever possible. I love this guy. So thank you, Warren, for being in. And good old Jake Hodge in the house. The stirrer of the pot, bracket racer extraordinaire, crew chief, junior dragster crew chief. I mean, the list is pretty long right there. So, but everybody, thank you guys for joining us. I know that everybody is fired up about this topic tonight. If you're watching and you have not seen the Red Nova that is on Double O Shit Show meme, dude, somebody over there tell them how to do your versus your, for the love of God. Jesus Christ, at least spell right, So, but anyway, on Double O Shit Show meme with a Red Nova, if you know the story, you know the story. We're not going to go into detail on that thing because we're not here to bash on either the guy in the Nova or anybody else involved in that thing. But the topic of safety and shenanigans and dumb stuff we do as racers has been the hot topic of conversation for the last 48 hours all over social media. So I figured, why not? I'm often blamed for stirring the pot, and I'll take that. So we're going to talk about some of this stuff. Again, the broad range of guests here tonight means that you guys have all seen some shit from a variety of sides. Warren and I have seen a ton of stuff either as announcers or as live streaming, events all over the country. And then racing myself. Of course, Trevor's, been a racer for a long time. Same with Jake, same with Ryan. Ryan, street racer from back in the day, me in the same boat as well. So that's a whole other, can of worms. But I want to talk about actual racetracks, being at the racetrack and doing dumb stuff. And we're not talking about on track yet, although if we have time, we may get to that. So, NHRA has a bunch of rules. So does PDRA, everybody else. They all follow, similar stuff on how you have to behave in the pits. And yet it seems to be one of the things that we have the hardest time with. Tyler, you run a racetrack every day. Do you want to pull your hair out half the time or what?
Fake it till you make it, baby. It's about all you can do in this world.
God, it cracks me up because, for example, one of the things that I see racers doing all the time, and in this particular instance that has spawned this, would have solved all of this, is racers that just reach in and fire up a car, like reach in the window and fire up a car, sitting on the ground. Racers that are warming stuff up. The rules say that the car must be on jack stands in the air. In fact, on jack stands. Can't just be a floor jack under the pumpkin. It has to have stands under it, have the wheels off the ground if you're going to sit there and warm it up and do any of those things. And the reality is that if you look at any of the pro level, racers in this world, in high level door cars and what have you, they all have pro jacks. Well, they don't have pro jacks to just be badasses. They have it so the car is ultra stable up in the air so they can do a lot of work on it. And so that when it's time to warm it up before the first round of pro mod, that they can put this thing up on the chip and bang it, right? And you're talking about a car that is moving around, okay? Top Fuel and Funny Cars, they actually have somebody stand on the wheelie bar while they do that because it hops up in the air otherwise. Like, it's not just for the sake of being a pain in the ass that NHRA, for example, has these rules. It's because it matters. But an exorbitant number of, and I hate to do this because I'm a bracket racer, so I'm not bashing on my boys for no reason, but bracket racers tend to be too lazy to jack up the car in the morning and warm it up. And instead, they get in the car and go driving it all over hell and gone at the racetrack. Like, seriously, it's like morning coffee. Those sons of bitches have got a cup in their hand and they're driving their race car up and down the top end of the racetrack and junk. And don't tell me that shit don't happen. I can hear it. I'm down there setting up for a live stream and all you hear is and everybody letting go. And as soon as they let go of the button, they're off the throttle until that bitch hangs open and drives through the pit somewhere. Right. So, I mean, right, Jake? Am I wrong?
I just want you to know how many times I have warmed my car up with a cup of coffee in my hand. However, it's not generally on the two-step, and it's not generally wide open, or ever, actually.
Ever, yeah.
But we talked about the incident that occurred, right? We're not really going to elaborate on that. I just want to point out, there's a lot of liability there.
Yes, exactly.
And the fella has stepped up and paid for, he has stepped up and paid for every dime of it. So everybody that wants to bash him and this and that, like, he paid the insurance deductible on one, and then he's got the money ready for the quote to come back on the other car to fix it. So
that's awesome. I'm glad
anybody that wants to bash him, granted, what he did was ignorant, but we've all done it. So.
And that's why I wanted to bring this up. I don't want this to be a, pile on, bashing the dude because, like you said, it could have happened to anybody. I mean, Tyler, how many times have you done it? Right?
Tyler makes a lap in his car before he drives into the staging lanes. That's how he warms his car up.
That's how I warm my car up.
Yeah.
I was like, Tyler, you need to drive that thing like, we need to put a little more heat in the transmission, a little more in the rear end. Now I'm going to do one lap and drive in the staging lanes. I don't know why it varied 700s though.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's one, and Trevor, you can comment on this. How many times do you hear, you don't know who it is unless you're right there in the staging lanes, somebody in the staging lanes who's looking at trans temp and it's 50 low. So they just set that thing on the chip. No. For like 30 seconds, or a minute. And I'm like, damn, dude, like that makes me nervous. I'm looking around for where's the dude, right? Like,
forgetting he's in the staging lanes, lets go of the button. Now he's in the car in front of him. Like,
right.
It's so easy to do because, I mean, usually you're doing it in the pits or whatever, hopefully up on jacks. But you're not even thinking because you're just worried about getting that temp up. And it's just like, man, you hear that and it just makes you cringe.
It does. Well, and we've all seen like crazy stuff happen in the pits, that accident stuff that was purely an accident. Like things just happen, right? But somebody commented on Jake's post like this, that how many times does a car come up to the line and the trans brake doesn't hold, right? Like the button fails, it may be that the trans brake's fine, right? But the button fails. Okay. So you don't know, like you obviously didn't know it was going to do it on the starting line. So you don't know when else that could happen, So that part of it for me is the thing that just makes me so nervous when I see that stuff. And nowadays with the number of people that are on scooters and golf carts and everything else, and I ride a scooter around at the racetrack all the time. An electric scooter, like we know that's the official pit vehicle anymore. Okay. NHRA hates them. They want them to go away, but every crew chief has one and rides it up to the starting line because you can fit 1,000 of them where you could only fit 20 golf carts. Like, there's a reason, but But all of those things, being at the same facility, moving around at the same time, are sketchy at best. So, Tyler, what do you?
Let me.
Go ahead, Jake.
Warren's going to interject, I think. Go ahead, Warren.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? I can.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. So to come back to the trans brake thing, and well, first of all, I sit in the tower. So when these guys come up here and they want to put some temper and whatever, check the converter, wow, they're sitting right next to the arch there at Las Vegas. So it's, you're like, it's good, dude. Just stop.
Yeah.
But, and I post probably once a year, you'll see me post a video about do not stand behind a race car. And invariably it is somebody that's gone up there, probably a super comp car. They'll go up, their crew person will be directly behind the car, and when the car launches, it goes backwards, not forwards. Just in that whole area, the starting line area, there needs to be a lot more situational awareness of what's in front of you, what's behind you, what's happening. I mean, you can think about like when Roy Hill got backed over by Lauren Freer, in the water box. And I had a list of them here, several of them. Greg Ware, he wasn't paying attention to anything except looking down the track, and he tore the door off of his car. Just stuff like that. I saw a crew guy that was putting his guy in the water box, not paying attention to the guy behind him, and he was way up closer to the starting line and got backed over by a car. So again, it's all situational awareness, especially, once you cross that ready line and you're in that starting line water box area. It's not necessarily stupidity, but it's just not being aware and not thinking about the fact. I know we're all around race cars all the time, but these are high horsepower, dangerous vehicles with drivers that have limited peripheral vision.
Yes.
They don't know who's beside them. They don't
and that's
know behind them.
No, they can't see. And that's also a problem in the pit area, right? If you have a car like Trevor's car, right? It's a second gen Camaro. It's got a cowl hood on it, but it's not anything crazy. It doesn't have some giant scoop. But if you're in a car with a big scoop hanging out over the hood, like it's hard to see around that thing. Okay. And somebody on a scooter is real easy to miss. So we know that from the water box to the starting line is the racetrack, but like you said, we're so comfortable, we just whatever. But it's the same or worse in the pit area, even staging lanes
shut off and coasting.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
that is all 100%. The time. Yes,
that happened in South Georgia at the Original Million. I think when they were at South Georgia, Howard Westbury was in his '57 Chevy. It's fast, hood scoop. It's a pro mod style car, top fortune style car. I guess I can't insult pro mods like that, but was rolling through the back of the staging lanes area where you enter the back of the lanes, and somebody pulled out on a scooter, didn't hear him coming, and it destroyed the front of that car.
Yeah,
but and talk about situational awareness. Oh yeah, easily. But my 12-year-old was sitting there. We were actually working on my dragster. This incident that brought all this up, and the guy had backed up to the front of my car, 2-step, throttle hung wide open. That's where it started at. My son's standing next to me, like just got back off of his Grom. Right, I understand he's doesn't have a license. Yada yada yada. I agree with that completely, but. He looked right at me and said, "I bet he wasn't wearing his helmet." And I'm like, "No, he for sure wasn't." And exactly what wrecking a pro street car in the streets like. We just went through it with Lagana. Like it was bad. And,
yes.
I mean to try to fathom into words what you saw in real life, you can never explain that to somebody and make them understand the true severity of it.
Right.
And
I'll tell you, the scariest thing I've ever seen at a drag strip was on the racetrack, and Warren knows this one, but it was a streetcar super nationals years ago, and a guy in a Firebird stood it on the bumper in the starting line on the right lane. When it came down, it broke the steering and it hung a hard left and hit the wall hard enough to knock the guy out. with his foot wide open on the throttle. The thing spun around, went out on the racetrack and did a couple of donuts, and people were scattering because it was coming back toward the starting line. And the only saving grace was the front of it was so wadded up that it couldn't go fast. And it turned left and parked itself against the wall and ran until it ran out of fuel, just about, right? The safety crew's trying to get on this thing and it's moving around up against the wall. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen on the racetrack. And like you said, just you can't even describe what was actually going through your head and the feelings and the adrenaline. And I'm up on the scaffolding looking down at this thing, but envisioning all these people at the starting line that could, are potential victims now, right? And so, yeah, I'm with you, Jake. Like that, it's a learning moment for your kid, though. I mean, at least you go, okay, this is why we don't do these things, right? But thank God the guy in the car wasn't killed and nobody else was. I mean, Tyler, you said it. Like, that's the thing,
He went past at least 15, 20 trailers before he stopped moving. I mean, how somebody didn't walk out or was riding a scooter. I mean, I'm not kidding you. There's 20 pit spots in between where he started and where he landed.
Yeah.
This is the incident from the other day that you're talking about, Jake?
Yeah. The Red Nova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anybody's confused on what we're talking about, I shared the video to my Facebook page. That's the one Double Shit Show shared. But, I took a video of the tire tracks. Like, we saw both sides of this car still wide open 400 feet from me where it started, it's unbelievable to know that somebody didn't get severely injured, killed, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was the driver in the car when this happened?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. He backed up. He backed up to the front of my dragster. We're putting brakes on it because we're at Music City. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why is he right there? Then I heard the two-step and I was like, okay, like putting heat in a converter. I've seen it before, but why are we in front of my car? And then it released, and then it shifted to high, and it never let up until it barrel rolled after it literally Evel Knievel ramped the back of that trailer in the video, and it tore the strut off right there, spindle and all. And barrel rolled probably 3 times after that and landed in the front of somebody's truck.
Yeah, I've seen the aftermath. I didn't know.
The fact that he didn't get seriously hurt inside that thing is a miracle.
Yeah.
A miracle.
And they had just purchased the car, never made a run in it, nothing.
Yeah.
So
that always makes me nervous when you see turbo guys, and I've got buddies that are turbo guys, and a friend of mine a few years back had a turbo car. He was testing it, bumping it in the pit. He was getting it up on the brake and making sure it was building boost and tested the bump box, and it was fine. He goes up to run and makes a burnout, comes back, and everybody's standing behind his car, and he lets go of the trans brake, and it launches in reverse. Trans brake failed. Yep. And he knocked some people down. Luckily, he was quick to get on the brake, but we changed the name of the car to the Decapitator at that point because it wanted to kill people.
Yeah.
But every time you see, being in the grudge world or in the street world like I was, as much as I love that world, I cannot stand as many people standing on the track as you usually see. Because it's just dangerous. It's just flat out dangerous.
The scariest part of the whole thing. And we just talked about situational awareness being on the starting line. Mm-hmm. I would be willing to bet that half the people that are standing on the starting line don't know that whenever you press the trans brake button, it locks it between first and reverse.
Right, exactly.
I would be willing to bet over half the people don't know that. And that's the biggest problem of all, or one of the biggest problems.
I didn't know.
I know this to be true, Tyler, because it blows my mind. So Doug Cook and the guys at Motion Raceworks are good friends of mine, love them to death, right? They came out with their awesome new shifter a couple of years ago, and they really big deal about how it had 2 micro switch locations in it and this and that and the other. And I'm like, okay, it's awesome, but every NHRA accepted street shifter on the planet has that because it has the neutral safety switch and it has a reverse light switch. And everybody's like, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, yeah. And you know what? Nobody in a drag and drive car needs to push the damn trans brake button to back up their car. all you have to do is hook up the switch on the shifter. When you put it in reverse and it turns on the backup lights, it will back up like a normal car. And then and your trans brake doesn't work then because it's already doing. And then when it's in drive, you use the hello. But race car builders don't know what they're putting together sometimes, right? So, and car guys, we all think we know it all, and I don't know it all. I know that, but I don't know it all. I'm not saying that, but seriously, yeah, people just don't pay attention. But Tyler, okay, we'll talk about some more specifics of other things we've seen because I want to go through everybody. But what can we do? So you are in a unique position. You run a racetrack and you are a senior official in a sanctioning body, right? I have my own opinions on this, but what can we do to stop this kind of thing from happening, in your opinion?
I'm going to probably sound really weird when I say this. I don't know if you can ever stop it completely. The best thing we can do is probably what we're doing tonight and educating people on what can happen. I mean, let's be honest. If Jake never posts the video and story doesn't get out, who knows that if this story gets anywhere,
right?
There's somebody that's going to learn something from that. As bad as I hate to say it, our sport is really, really bad about learning after reacting after something bad. Warren, you've seen it through the years.
Oh yeah, I mean,
we see a bad crash and then we go, "Oh, we need to fix that." It's like, "Oh, well, that's damn late."
The common statement about the NHRA rulebook being written in blood. There's a reason for that. Everything that's in there is because something bad happened somewhere, and there had to be
always being updated.
And like we. As I'll say this from a racetrack standpoint, last year we implemented a rule that if you are not a crew member or come in with a race car, you can't bring a pit vehicle. So no spectators can bring a golf cart, can't bring a scooter, can't bring anything. And trust me, I've been the asshole for about a year and a half now. But I can say we went from averaging probably 3 to 4 incidents a month to we've had one in the last year.
Right.
You've been an asshole for a lot longer than a year and a half.
I have.
Yes, that's true. 100%. Yes. Okay, but here's one other thing too, though, on that. I agree with you. We're real hard-headed, right? It's hard to learn. I think we have to... And I'm using the royal we here, right? Meaning promoters, race directors, track owners, and operators, etc. And even racers. We have to hold each other accountable. Yes. Instead of trying always to take care of everybody and making sure everybody has a good time. You can't have a good time if you're hurting somebody or you're hurting yourself. Correct. And I tell people all the time, and Trevor knows this one, like bracket racers, and Jake, you know this too. We are the worst. We're like, this seatbelt's optional, so I can turn and see that guy, right? I mean, Trevor doesn't, because Trevor's got cool shit on his car that helps you see. But but a lot of people don't. Like, hey, you got a rear view mirror, use the goddamn thing, whatever. But the thing is that there are no second chances if you're dead, right? And even if you were okay, would you want to be the one that hurt somebody or scared the shit out of everybody or whatever? So I think we need to hold people accountable. I'm very vocal about jumping on somebody when they do something wrong and not bashing on them, but using them as an example, right? But at the same time, also being really, really, really complimentary when people do the right thing, right? You praise them. Mel Roth, he is the tightest guy on the planet. He bitches at me all the time because I'm giving away t-shirts at Streetcar Super Nationals. I give away a half dozen t-shirts, and you know what it results in? No oil downs, right? Because I bash on a guy who stands it on the bumper, rips the headers off of it, and then drives right down the middle of the racetrack at 5 miles an hour. That dude, I'm making an example out of, and I don't give a shit what he likes it or not, right? But if you're the dude that stands it on the bumper, it comes down, and you're like, oh, crap, Chad's going to yell at me, and you pull over to the side within 30 feet, they look, everything's fine and send you down the racetrack, free t-shirt for that guy, right? And then I'm going to talk about how much of a badass that guy is for the rest of the day. And you know who also appreciates that? The Jeff Fosters of the world, the Tyler Crossnose of the world, the Kurt Johnsons of the world who have to clean that crap up.
Everybody that wants to watch racing and not a track being cleaned up.
All 3 fans in the stands of a bracket race appreciate it.
Yes, exactly. Hey, there's thousands that are online with Warren and I, so they do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So just fills the stands.
Just a little bit on that, because it does remind me of something stupid that just happened this past weekend. I did streetcar bragging rights for Nate Prater, which was a fun show, you know. But we are all 8 finals are sitting in the staging lanes, right? And the primary sponsor wants to go for a record and make an exhibition pass in his car. You all know how this is going to turn out.
I know where this is going.
Guy comes up, launches, it spins the tire. So instead of driving it through, he backs up, moves it over about 3 feet, launches the car, comes straight up on the bumper, slams down, straight up on the bumper again, slams down, and then he coasts off into the other lane to manage to oil both lanes, right?
So 15 minutes of racing turned into 2 hours of racing.
The cleanup took an hour and 30 minutes. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
To get that last pair. And track was good. Yes. You want to take care of your sponsor? Kind of got to do that, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Let him be the finale. Let him be the finale.
That's right. It should not have been, you know, anytime you affect racing like that, you know,
I know.
Super aggravating. And what do? I mean, Chad, you know, you know this as well. Now, how are you going to fill an hour and 30 minutes of a cleanup watching the tractor parade?
Yeah, you can't. There's nothing to do.
Regardless of that, it's something that never should have happened to begin with, right? Yeah, and nothing against the sponsor, nothing against the promoter, because the promoter's trying to take care of the sponsor. We wouldn't have been there without both of them, but yet we were all there an hour and a half longer than we should have been because of holy traffic.
Right.
So hour and a half, were they using horse and buggy?
I've seen
Crossnow drive the whole racetrack in an hour and a half. And shut down.
Hey, I've also seen him launch himself out over the hood of a tractor one time too, though.
Oh yeah, you did see that one.
Well, it was both lanes to their, you know, and then once they had it cleaned up and it was still too slick, it's just the way some of those. It's a situational issue.
I was fixing that's situational awareness right there. Like, you just got to know that.
In general, if you launch your car and the cab fills up with smoke, or you launch your car and it's fishtailing and you can't keep it in your own lane.
Yeah.
Or if you launch your car and you go down track, you can't make it down track. Safety Safari pulls out on the track to stop you, and you drive by and wave as you drive around them to go on up the hill. That's on you, dude.
Right.
That is just belligerence.
Situational awareness.
Good word for it.
That's all that is.
You know, here's okay. So let's. We've all seen some shit, right? I mean, I think we've all established that. I want everybody, each of us, to say one thing that when they see it at the racetrack, it makes them cringe or it scares them, or whether it's something you do or you see other people do that you think that is just not right and we should not be doing that anymore.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go Warren.
Yeah, I don't want to go first. Thank you.
I'll go second.
Go ahead, Warren.
Dragster driver leaning clear out of the cage, looking around.
That's a big
Agreed.
One.
That's my biggest number one. Somebody's going to get killed doing that.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly.
Dragging your chutes all the way back to your toter home.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Dude, that is a good one. That is a really good one. I have seen, Tyler's seen this too. I have seen chutes get caught on other cars on other trailers. It's set like a bunch of times. People. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
All right. I got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
ahead,
one.
Jake.
So the guys that scare me the most are middle of July, 35 pairs back, full strapped in, helmet on, neck brace on, gloves on. I don't want to stage next to that guy.
Heat stroke.
Good point.
Not even heat stroke. Like, if we are not smart enough to know we have
Agreed.
5 whole minutes to put our helmet and seatbelts on when we're 5 pairs back.
Yeah. Right. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
I mean, so far, 2 out of 2 I'm guilty of. So I don't have a toter home, but I'm just trying to find something that I'm not guilty of.
I'm going for one from one of my favorite people on the planet right here.
I think a $2 million man has got a good one right there.
Dude, Jeff Verdi. If you don't know who Jeff Verdi is and you're watching this, then you are missing out on a tremendous human being who has won the million twice, 2 different millions in a Pontiac-powered Pontiac Firebird, which makes him an extra badass guy. There's a whole bunch more to that. But yes.
And he is a morally great human being.
He is. He is absolutely spectacular in every way. Absolutely.
And he can make the hell out of a cabinet. He can make the hell out of
I've ever live streamed.
I was just about to say he can make the hell out of a cabinet too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, okay, but wiping the tires, what he means is spinning the tires in the water, right, to get water all over them and all that. So I'm gonna expand on that one, and this isn't my one. This is just as that. What's with the East Coast guys that a few years ago decided that they're going to roll through the water in their dragsters, then roll back again, and then roll through again, and this time they're going to slide it in to pull the water as far forward as possible. Dude, you have a 600 cubic inch big block Chevrolet that makes 1,200 before the spray. If you need that much water to do a burnout, you're doing it wrong. I mean, for the love of God.
In the words of Chris Gallitti, you've got 1,000 fucking horsepower. Use it.
Yes, exactly.
Stop getting my car dirty.
And Jeff is saying before even entering the water. He's right on that too.
Yeah,
you're all right.
He's pretty local to VNP, and I had this thought, like, if somebody would have, I drove Tyler's dragster a couple weeks ago. Great story there, but you know, when people do a dry hop in a door car and throw rocks all over whoever's behind you, I'm in Tyler's car, not even mine, worth more than my whole life. I would have drugged them out of their car in the water box.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's a pet peeve of mine, pretty bad.
I agree.
I will hold 4 tents in Tyler's car all day long, but I will not tolerate somebody throwing rocks on it.
I agree. He only has really nice looking stuff.
All right, I got mine now.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead there, Rain Man.
Finally got mine. Probably one of my biggest racer pet peeves is people warming a car up, pulling out on the racetrack and thinking that you're going, like, pulling out on the racetrack in the shutdown area and like thinking you're going to make a run down there. Like, that's a bad one for me.
Agreed. And there are so many racetracks where either the return road or the top end of the racetrack or both are just utilized by racers. They don't ask. They don't do any. I mean, I've seen Jeff Foster levitate and then say obscenities I can't repeat here. And you know me, I'll say anything.
You can't repeat any Fosterisms online.
No. And I mean, lose it. Like what? Literally drive around the tractor at the top end to go. What are you doing? Oh my God. Yes.
Hey,
I mean,
hold on. Can I play devil's advocate though?
Yeah.
If that guy has a new setup, if that guy doesn't know what it's going to do and he wants to go spin the tires off the trans brake toward facing the sand trap, right?
Yep.
I would much rather him do that there. I would much rather him do that there.
Yep. But he should talk to somebody at the track and make sure that is okay to do first. That's the big deal.
I'm not disagreeing with that one bit.
Yeah.
You do that.
But
I totally see your side too, Jake. Yeah.
But are they going to take the time to do that?
No.
No, that's true.
Yes. I'm not.
Yeah.
But like I was saying earlier, though, we make fun of that guy, like, oh, the old. Right. But like we made fun of that old geezer that's done the same warm up for 20 years in the shutdown. You know, we always like, he's down there doing his thing.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he is there for a reason. Maybe he's seen something like, you know, I had just experienced, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep. All right, Trev, what's yours?
Honestly, I have no idea. You guys are hitting a bunch of them. None of them really come to my mind. There is. I mean,
I'm from the West Coast. We don't race much out there.
There it is.
How about no tech inspection? That's the weirdest thing I've ever, like, when I was like, where's tech at? I mean, I was like, oh my God.
Or you
look at some of these.
You're in the Midwest now, Bubba.
I know. You look
that's why we call it a tech card.
Man, that's scary. Man,
we call it a tech card for a reason.
But I agree with you. Okay, because here's why tech inspection should be required. Okay, 100% at every race. Yeah. Sorry, is because how many guys have we seen whose junk has died after the burnout or something like that, and it's in reverse or it's still in, you know, first or whatever, and they refire that bitch and it does the lurch, right? He's my boy. He's your boy too, Tyler. Like Lyle Barnett, I would do anything for that guy. But that son of a bitch hates a neutral safety switch. He will tell you straight up, car shouldn't have a neutral safety switch. Bullshit. Like, click that thing in neutral. Especially you're in a pro mod or something, dude. You got 2 neutrals. You got 2 clean neutrals.
Half these cars nowadays got 2 neutrals.
Or
it's hard to find one. They're right there. You know?
This is 100% a Warren Evans. Yeah, this is a Warren Evans conversation because he passed down a racetrack with those rules every week. You will detect if you are a first-time racer. And listen, it is the strictest racetrack to race in the Midwest. They turn people away. They don't care if you're 5, 6, 7 hours away. Granted, they struggle. They struggle because it's hard to get a new racer in there, especially somebody that comes from anywhere south of I-70. You know, it's tough. But you don't often see many incidents at that facility.
Right. You're exactly right.
And I think that the annual tech inspections that race tracks, you know, have been doing, I think that that's a really smart thing, right? Like if nothing has changed on your car, it's okay. You know, you get your annual sticker. Like that's a good thing. You know, I don't think there's any, you know, issue with that. I think that periodically they should still, you know, like they should just draw from, you know, random guys every week and say, hey, a couple of you guys have been drawn to come through random tech. Like just to make sure, right? It's no big deal because who isn't going to help you pass tech anyway, right? If there's something if a neutral safety switch, come on, that's super easy. You know what I mean? So, you know, you got racer buddies that'll help you out, you know.
Ranger racers won't.
Well,
Jake definitely wouldn't.
You know, it's funny, we have the conversation all
Just
the time
kidding,
like at many different races. Tech is not like people have this like fear of tech. Like, oh, I'm not going to pass or I'm not going to, they're going to send me home and all this. Tech is, in my opinion, is more of an education tool when it's done right because that's a lot of people that come to the racetrack have never seen a rule book, have never seen the right way to do things. I've never seen a car built the right way or anything like that. They just know that they like the sport. And if we don't educate them as from a racetrack standpoint or a series standpoint, in my case, if we don't educate them on the right way to do it, we can't get mad at them when they do it the wrong way because we didn't teach them the right way. And that's
I can tell you,
like you're not looking to send them home. You don't want to lose a racer, but I mean, you definitely want to be safe.
Yes.
I mean, that's
huge. I can tell you where their fear comes from NHRA Division III bracket finals. Okay. That's where their fear of tech inspection comes from.
Yeah.
Because I got thrown out for having my window net mounted on the outside of my funny car roll cage in my 6.0 door car. Thrown out. And they said, you're not racing here like that this weekend. And I said, really? Like this past inspection last year, the year before, the year before that. Nope, we don't care. I said, okay. I said, they're racing for $5,000 2 hours away. I said, have a good one. But at the same time,
is that in the NHRA rulebook that it must be inside the cage? Because I don't believe that's.
Yes, it is, because if you are in any kind of collision on the driver's side, it's going to knock the window net off first, and it's there to prevent debris from coming in.
let's back up just a little bit on that. You should have never had to go all the way to Indy to get thrown out on tech.
Oh,
that's true.
I agree.
If your home track is doing their job.
Yeah, if that was a problem, it should have been a problem before. That's a good point. But yes, that's a good point.
I was there with Randy Peters, Warren, and he's a stickler. Like if it's,
I know,
you would think he would catch it,
Yeah,
and it, and even Rod, it went through Rod's tech and it passed there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, for as tough as Rod is, and like you say with Randy, they still. I mean, Coles County had some racers a couple of years ago that got all the way over there. Cars that passed tech at Coles County got over there and they got thrown out, just like you're talking about.
Which is wild.
It is wild. It's and that's kind of over the top the way that they handled that.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta teach people. That's where there's got to be some. There's got to be a long-term goal of we want to keep racers racing, and that's one of my things that I hope people understand is that. There's already enough things in this world that are against what we do. Okay. So we need to be as good as we possibly can. So we're not shooting our own selves in the foot, in the Red Nova thing. If that was at a spectator type of event where there were a jillion people walking through the pits, it would not have mattered if he died or if 500 racers died. If one little kid that was a spectator died, oh my God. We would look like the worst sport on the planet, right? That Kerrville, Texas deal where the racetrack didn't have the right things at the end. And 2 kids died in that. That's horrible. I don't give a shit about the race cars. I don't care about any of that, right? That's the stuff we gotta, and I know that's a isolated kinds of incidents, but I don't think racers understand, anybody who helps run a race, anybody that spends time in the tower, anybody that announces, anybody that's Tyler, right, or Warren, we always say at events all the time when a racer bitches about something or whatever, we always say if they had to spend 2 hours in the tower watching what it really takes and what really goes down to put down on an event, they would lose their minds and go, never again, we won't bitch anymore. Okay. Well, the reality is, Tyler, you just said that getting rid of all these, spectator pit vehicles made it so you went from 3 or 4 incidents a month to 1 in a year. That's the kind of thing that racers don't think about. They don't know that, right? So maybe that will open their eyes because they do know. And I think
a lot of people lost a lot of weight.
That's true. If my fat ass had to walk around, I'd be better for it. That's true. But the other part of it is this. I think that there are other consequences we can do that are easy, that aren't, that aren't kicking somebody out. We can right? Give them 3 strikes kind of thing. So let's say that Chad is the safety officer, right? Which would be hilarious, right? Do a hat
I would love
and a shirt.
That.
Right?
I would do, actually.
Wearing flip-flops and shorts, the whole thing. It would be great, right? So if you went into the pits and a guy's doing a warm-up that's not safe, you roll up and you give him a coupon and then you radio up to the tower and give his car number because he's in the first pair to go down. Right? Okay? Because bracket racer don't want to be the first guy down. Everybody's jockeying and shit. Oh,
Jake
yeah, you guys
get to the front of the line.
Right? And there will be dudes that go, everybody lines up at the back of the staging lanes, trying not to line up with their buddies, dude, you don't show up until the very end, Trevor. We know we've talked about this a million times, right? I know. But so if you were doing something dumb and I said, sorry, brother, you're in the first, you got to show up you do it because you have to.
Would.
Right. But it would make you. Right, but it would make you change, right?
Definitely
whatever it was that you did, you'd be like, okay, my bad, right? So you could give them a warning card. You could give them you got to go in the first pair card, whatever. If you were getting a buy run, you lose it. If you gave things like that were the penalties that weren't kicking somebody out, would get people to change their behavior in a hurry. I've also said, at my race, that I want to do. I want to put on a race where like there's none of this dicking around, right? Like if at Streetcar Super Nationals, I was calling people to the lanes immediately that were in double 2 classes, one back to back. And then I went down in the lanes and I had a guy come up, him and his wife, and he's like, man, there's just no time. I said, there's plenty of time, dude. And he goes, you just called us. I said, but I ain't making you run. And he goes, well, I got to cool this thing off. I said, cool it off. I said, you want some help getting the hood off of it? And he goes, what? I go, I'm going to help you. I said, dude, I need you to be here because if you're out there somewhere, I don't know where the hell you are and when you're coming. And if you don't come when I call, because he was down to 8 cars or whatever, I'm like, I need you to be here now. So you can put that fuel jug and the generator and the charger on the golf cart and bring that shit down here. And I will help you out. And when you're ready, you tell me and we'll run you. I'm not going to rush you, but I need to know you're here. So Trevor's heard me say this before. I'm going to do a deal where when I call you to the lanes and you come, I'm going to have a guy at the back of the lanes with $20 bills in his hand. And he's going to hand them out to the first guys that are in, right? We get into later rounds, it might be $100 bill, right? I may do a bonus where I go, you know what? We're going into the semis right now, and there's $1,000 round winner money for the first guy that's here in the lanes, right?
Read the title of your podcast. Is the Pit Stupidity Reeking Havoc? You are promoting that shit.
I'd say everybody's trying to get down there. Right.
Trevor's like,
get out of my way.
Yeah, exactly. No, but
listen,
I want
Tyler
people...
and I.
No, go ahead, Jake.
Tyler and I just hot lapped $150,000 dragster for $3,000 to win. Okay, if we can do it, so can everybody else.
We did do that.
No problem hot lapping. No problem.
No, every guy in a dragster that says he can't do it. Yeah, every guy in a dragster that runs 200 miles an hour, okay, and has, like you said, $150,000, $200,000 in this car, and then they're gonna go, oh, well, I can't cool it off that quick. What, you cheaped out on a Griffin radiator? What, dude? Come on. Like, you know what? I can hook you up with a cooling system.
Jesus Christ.
My trans is hot. Time for my Z trans pan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, come on.
You're on
Call Gearhead Solutions.
Like hot.
Yes.
Call Gearhead Solutions. We'll get you
call Gearhead Solutions. Trevor will hook you up with the parts you need to cool that shit off quick. Yeah.
That's Jake's go-to.
We'll send you the invoice for that advertisement later. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
No worries. I'll take it.
Well, Trevor and I are to the point where he's like, hey, which card do you want me to use? I'm like, whichever one goes through, brother. Just keep them coming.
Right?
Run it until it goes through.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think why do you think that the starting line antics, like I've got a note on this because it's multiple people have brought this up, including my favorite blind racer, Dan Parker. By the way, the world's fastest
the coolest
blind
thing Chad and I ever experienced.
Oh,
we did it together.
100%. It was epic, and I love Dan, and I'm so glad you're watching or listening, my friend. But same thing.
Jesus,
hey,
Chad, my goodness,
dude. If you know Dan Parker and you've never been able to run a joke up quicker than that guy can on himself. It's insane. But he brought up the 300 people on the starting line and 10 people to back up a car. So I'm gonna drop this one in, and then I want everybody to discuss it. So I have said for a long time, if you are sitting within 3 inches of the factory driving position in a door car, you should not, under any circumstances, have nor need somebody to help you stage that car. And I've gotten people argued with me over that, but I know plenty of guys who drive Pro Mod cars who do not have somebody pull them into the beams. Okay. Yep. It's not hard. And for those of you watching, you go, well, I don't know where the line is and this and that. So if you have a drag and drive car, it makes it easy, right? All you have to do is pull up to any stoplight with a crosswalk and look at where the line lines up on your car when you look out the window and see where the tire is on the line, right? You know where you're at. You can do the same thing on the drag strip. You look over at the wall, you know right where you're at. It's not a big deal. Come on. Like, people do it every day. So I hate that we have become this drag racing world where everybody thinks that they need to be Austin Coyle or Bernie Federley, pulling in John Force into the starting line. Like, that is ridiculous. Go. What do you think?
Yeah, it drives me freaking nuts. I cannot stand it. If you cannot operate your piece of equipment by yourself, you do not need to own it. That's just my 2 cents.
Well,
it drives me nuts. I've never been that guy. When I am in the car and I'm getting ready to drive, I do not want somebody standing by my window. I don't want somebody talking to me. And too many times when you go with your buddies, there's that one guy who talks too damn much, and you just got to roll the freaking window up, even though it's 300 degrees.
Why you got to point me out like that?
No. You didn't do that to me, but you did try to point me in the last time we went to race. You were really confused.
I did.
I
did. That's true.
I got this,
Yeah.
But no, it always drives me nuts. And like, if you notice, my buddy Richie, he's got some guy up front, some guy in the back, and I'm like, dude, it's just Camaro, bro. Like, I know it's a catfish. It's hard to see over the front, but come on, bro.
Yeah.
But I guess it's whatever makes you comfortable. But I like people the hell away from me when I'm fixing to run my car.
Yeah, I might have been Craig Sullivan's shortest term employee, but the one thing I did learn was if you can't pre-stage your car, you don't need to drive a Pro Mod because they've never moved the pre-stage beam from where it's at right now.
That's absolute truth. And I mean, how far is it from your face to the front tire on a 235-inch wheelbase, top dragster? Both of you idiots like stage that thing, no problem. Without somebody standing up there showing you where the bulb is. So, it's a long way up there.
We guess.
I tried to get Tyler to do it. He wouldn't do it.
Oh, we should have done that.
That would have been awesome.
We should have done that because we were already the most hated people there. So we should have just done it.
By a lot.
That would have been awesome. Yeah. Well, and you know what's funny about that is like, so door cars and like heads up racing, especially in the snow prep and grudge style world that we're in right now, dude, it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes a pair to go down the racetrack. And at a bracket race, like 45 seconds is like a good boom, boom, boom pace at a good racetrack. Yeah. I mean, I've seen quicker, and a minute isn't too shabby either, but somewhere between 40 and 60 seconds a pair is what you want to do. I've had to stream bracket races that I'm just not going to say whose races they were, where we're at like 3 and 4 minutes a pair at a bracket race. I'm like, oh my God.
Which is
I am going to
on the shot clock.
Dude, I want to talk about the shot clock, Jake. I want to talk about the shot clock.
It's going to be good.
I love you. I love you a lot, Chad, but you got me for like 4 more minutes, so let's hear it.
Okay. No. You give us the shot clock because it goes with why I'm saying this.
I'm a perfect example. I took for absolutely
ever. Hold on though. I am also a perfect example. I do take a little while. I'm usually actually sitting in pre-stage though before anybody ever says anything. But I promote a race at Killcare. Killcare's curfew is more strict than the 10 Commandments. Like it is, like they will show up with police officers blocking the staging lanes and VMP.
Wow.
Because the guy in the house, in the right lane at the end, kind of an asshole. But
you mean the one in the house we is in right now?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. But you don't really realize how many minutes are wasted until you need those 3 minutes to finish the event that night. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, well, we need a shot clock to get back to the staging lanes, this and that. I'm like, don't tempt me. I will also build one of those. Like, that's fine.
Right.
But, the shot clock is not in the driver's view. It's not distracting. You're going to do your burnout and roll right past it. And we all know, like, 7 to 10 second timeout, our internal clock's already ticking. Like, we know, hey, I'm running out of time here, even to get staged before we ever put a shot clock in. But quite literally, if your bulb is not on, your stage bulb is not on, and you got to realize it has to be on for 0.6 of a second for the timing system to recognize it. So if it's not on, by the time the shot clock hits 0, the treak is coming on. Like, you will be red. It's the same thing as to start a double flip in the switch. And
I love it.
If you're not in,
I think it's great.
If you're not in,
well,
it's cut and dry.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the reason why this is important. If you have 1,000 passes or 1,000 pairs, okay, go down the racetrack, which is not that many, folks. Okay. It does not take that much to have 1,000 pairs go down the racetrack with all the rounds. 1,000 pairs, 15 seconds per pair of wasted time is more than 4 hours.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
That's 4 hours.
Not
15
only,
seconds in a, yeah.
And Jake, not only on the curfew side of it, because we fight that too at VMP, like 11 o'clock, we're game over.
Yeah. Right.
But keep in mind on every hour you're racing, you got to pay an ambulance. You got to pay employees. You got to pay payroll.
Employees get burnt out.
Exactly. And when you can tell your employees,
kill a
hey,
good
we're going to run
employee
these
on day
races
one.
quicker. Yeah, I was going to say you can lose an employee on the first day of a 4-day bracket race because you kept them there for 15 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can start lowering payroll, can lower your EMS bill, get racers out of there at a good time, go to dinner, kind of maybe at a great establishment like Jake is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
diesel fuel, tractor.
Exactly. So not only do you make the racer experience better, you also can run the business better at the end.
Agreed.
And here's another thing too.
And if you are,
I've worked on the ambulance at the track. If somebody has an accident, those guys been in there for 12 hours. Are they really going to be worth a crap if something happens? If there's an accident, you know what I mean? Like their focus is gone. I mean, they've been sitting down there for 12 hours. I've been there. Right. I've done it. Mike Bowman crashed at Fontana. We had to pull him out of the passenger side. We've been sitting there for 11 and a half hours. You're foggy. If you can cut some of that time, it's huge. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, me and Chad talked about it 100 times. Where an event doesn't stay tight and it's running till 2 or 3 in the morning. Even if you're in your toter home resting between rounds, you're still not getting good rest.
No.
And some drivers don't ever go sit down. So you've got guys that are racing cars that are tired. You got EMS that are tired. You got track official guys that are tired. And it just doesn't make any sense at all.
And it's day one.
Walking out unsatisfied because they didn't get to see anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're driving for Tyler, you're racing out of a garage.
Right.
Right. If you're
keep hating.
But think about it too. As a racer, like the experience is way cooler if you're done in the evening at a reasonable time. And like you said, can either go out to eat or you go and you start cooking in the pit and you have your pit party and you do all. That's way nicer for everybody involved. Nobody wants to be, sure, you want to win the big money and you want to do all that stuff. And that if that happens to happen to be at midnight, you'll do it. But it would certainly be nicer if it was at 8 o'clock.
Which we've all, think back.
The track we had the incident at, the track owner was actually just in the booth over at Longhorn, didn't realize it. So that was cool.
Oh, that's funny.
But my last thing on my way out here, if you're renting that racetrack from a Tyler Crossno, Tyler, if I'm renting your racetrack from you and I can get done at 9 p.m., are you going to be more apt to cut me a break or let me rent again?
Yep. Exactly.
100%.
Right. Any day of the week.
But, Jake, I really appreciate you being on the show tonight. No, thank you for being a part of it.
Until I got home. So.
Oh, you're all good, dude. You're all good. All right. We'll talk to you next time, brother.
See you, Jake.
See you guys.
See ya. Yeah, it's there's so much more to the rules and the things that we should be doing at the racetrack, whether it's in the pits, whether it's in tech, whether it's in the staging lanes, the starting line, all that. It's not just safety, it's time. It's not just time, it's safety. It's all those things right together. There's more than one reason for all the things that are going on and why we do it. And, Trevor, you bring up the, EMTs being down there and you want those guys to be sharp. But at the same time, here's the other part of that. If you're the guy that does something dumb on the racetrack, like pedal it for the 4th or 5th or 6th time when you've already lost and you crash, you've now put a bunch of other people in danger, right?
Yep.
Because those guys are down there to save your life if you happen to need it. But when you do something dumb that results in them having to do it, if you're on fire and all that, they're putting their lives at risk to save you, which is their job. Don't get me wrong, but why?
It could have been avoided.
Yes.
It's avoidable.
It is. I mean, not everything. Accidents are accidents. That's all right. But the guys that do the never lift attitude, come on, man. Like,
yeah, well, that's the very thing that got my friend Blake killed.
Yeah,
that's the very thing that got him taken out. Was a guy in the left lane who had already lost the race in the first 60 feet. It was over. There was no coming back from it, but continued to try to force the car down there and hit him, spun him, killed him. And complete irresponsible. You know, Tim McAmus did a video a while back about pro mod drivers and stupid mother effers behind the wheel that should never set foot in a race car.
Yes.
And it's 100% right. And you have guys that drive race cars, and then you have race car drivers. And I think what everything boils down to, and as a current track owner and a former track owner, the thing is that we as racers need to understand that, number one, the racetrack is a business. Number two, they're dropping off in some places. I know they're not dropping off everywhere, but I've lost a lot of local tracks.
Yep.
And you know that. We have a couple of good ones, but in order for people to want to continue to do this stuff, we should do better as racers, knowing that we're going to a racetrack, meaning we should make sure that we have the right safety equipment in our cars, period, in the discussion. If you question the fact that you have proper safety equipment, there's a good possibility you don't, right? If you're around race cars, and if you don't, there's a rule book for it. But on the flip side of it, these promoters that come in and have these races and they add 15, 20 classes that make the day go, into the middle of the night into the early morning. Like you're costing that business money. Like y'all were saying, tractors running, lights being on, and the concession stands closed. So people aren't getting food at 3 or 4 in the morning. So that part of the business is closed because you got to cut people loose. And it's just, it comes down to a respect thing. Like there's a whole lack of respect in the world we're living in today. And it's kind of trickling into everything else and racing. And we all got to get better at being better, Yeah.
And which, like, one thing that we've always, and I say we, it's myself and Tommy Franklin, the guy that owns the racetrack here at Virginia. One thing that we've kind of always based our business model on is think about it from a racer standpoint. Tommy's a racer, I'm a racer, we're all racers. What do we go to the racetrack for? To escape the world and to have fun. Well, when you take away everybody's fun, it's not fun anymore. They're going to stop coming. They're going to find somewhere else to go have their fun. So, yes, while we all have to have rules to do certain things and to make incidents like that we all discussed earlier, try to keep those from happening, at the same time, we have to be careful to not take away the fun because that's what we all do it for. I say all the time, I don't want to go to work and not have a good time. I'm the first one to joke around and have a good time with all my employees and everything like that. But if you don't make it a fun environment, people are going to find somewhere else to go. So from a business model, yes, you have to enforce the rules, and yes, you have to do certain things to keep everybody safe. But at the same time, you still have to have the entertainment value. You still have to have the good race that everybody wants to compete in and keep it fun for all. Because without it being fun, what are we all doing our sport for?
There's no racing.
Agreed.
Yeah, you make that.
But I don't think that I don't think that they have to be mutually exclusive. And I know you're not saying that, but that's I feel like there are some little tracks, especially little tracks, that feel like, oh my God, if we turn away one person, we're going out of business. The reality is, if that's the difference between making it and not making it, you ain't making it anyway.
No.
Well, and Tyler brings up a great point, and it's something that I see when I just kind of look around when I'm out there doing this stuff. I'm looking around and kind of asking myself, is anybody having fun here? It doesn't look like it from where I sit. It doesn't really look like people are having fun. But to attach to your point, Chad, if you turn away one person, and I know you know this as well, Tyler, is sometimes that one person that keeps showing up every week is keeping other good racers away. And sometimes you got to cut loose a customer to get some of them back that won't be there because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, bad egg.
Oh, 100%. Yes. That's a really, and that goes with any business. The reality is that Yeah, I mean, I built cars for years, and the biggest lesson I had to learn was that with one particular customer that was just horrible and ruined it for me. Like if I had just fired this guy as a customer, God, my life would have been so much better off, you know. And like you said, that goes if it's racers, if it's employees, if it's whatever,
restaurant business.
Yes, absolutely.
Nobody wants to go to the bar when there's one loud asshole.
Right. Again, why you got to call me out every time, Tyler?
Sorry.
Every time.
Hey, Chad, I'm going to have to get off here, buddy.
All right, Trevor.
Thank you guys for everything.
Hey, we appreciate you being on here, dude. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
See ya.
Trev's got a baby at home to go take care of, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want the wife, man, or else we ain't going racing.
No, you better get
Yeah, exactly.
We're not going racing. We don't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. See ya.
See ya.
You know, I think that, you know, there's a lot, you know, Tyler, you said earlier, you know, talking about this stuff is important. You know, I didn't realize it until we're in the middle of this thing, but, you know, like Lyle and I have been real vocal about radial racing and the problems with radial racing, you know, at different times. And you know, same thing with grudge versus no prep and, you know, all these kinds of things. And right now there's a bunch of people talking about, you know, no prep and how there's, you know, only these super fast guys can win anymore. So the fields are getting smaller and this and that and whatever, you know, somebody's always got something to complain about, but you said earlier, like if talking about this stuff will help change it. You know, this isn't the stuff we normally are talking about. Like we'll bitch about one little thing, right? We'll talk about grudge racing and hate the fact that there's 800 people on the starting line, but we don't talk about all of these things together. And so I appreciate you guys being on here tonight to talk about this. Cause it, you know, I hope people that are watching realize this isn't supposed to be a bitch session. This is supposed to be a helping all of us do better, you know, kind of thing.
Continuing education, Chad. It's continuing education.
Exactly right.
I love that.
Yeah, I have to do. Hey, every 2 years I have to do it for the state to carry my.
Oh, well, there you go.
I was just saying, carry your license.
Yeah. So you know, everybody shouldn't have to do that. Just like I feel like that when it comes to just driving down the road, you know, like I look at the severity of accidents we've had increase in the last 2 years. I think everybody should have to go back to the DMV every 5 years, get a little refresher.
You think? You know? Yeah,
might need to happen.
Yeah, I know, right?
So Wickman brings up, can anyone recall when there was a driver's meeting at one of these large events to have everyone on the same page? I can tell you that like at LS Fest in LS Fest West, I hold a driver's meeting. Actually, I hold a couple of driver's meetings, but I have a driver's meeting for my Quick 16 and I have a driver's meeting for my drag and drive guys. And I have a driver's meeting for my grand champions who are not drag racers. And that one I do on the starting line and show them how to stage because there's people that literally have never been down a drag strip before. And so giving them this driver's meeting, it takes, 25 minutes. It's while Foster's dragging the top end of the racetrack anyway. It makes it so that everybody feels more comfortable, right? They've been standing on the starting line. Nobody pulls up to the Christmas tree, right? They all know where the starting line is. They know what the stage lights are. That's, Vegas is an NHRA national event track. So it has the half circle, pre-stage and stage beams, not the traditional, separate bulbs. So it can be confusing for people. We go up there and flip the switch and do everything, and it works great. So drivers' meetings are awesome.
Yeah, but let me say this about drivers' meetings. A couple of things. One, those drivers, your commenter was talking about some of the stupid things or the negligent, bad decisions things that we've been talking about tonight. Yeah, we don't really talk too much about those in drivers' meetings. But we do hit some pretty big points. If your car is not on the starting line, you don't need to be there on the starting line. We don't need a crowd up there. Those kinds of things.
Right.
But then the next step is if we talk about something like that, or if it's publicly known, then we, being on the operational side of this, need to make sure that gets enforced. Correct. You can't tell people nobody up on the starting line, and then never make any effort to clear them off.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Can't tell people, if you're under 16, no motorized vehicles, and then see a 9-year-old in a golf cart doing donuts,
right,
and not take care of it. So some of that's self-policing, of course, but if we're going to talk about something, we need to follow through with it to make sure that, we don't that it gets taken care of.
Yeah, like last year, Radio Roundup, Chad had to stop it a couple of times because too many people were past the area they were supposed to be, or they had kids beyond certain points. And we had to stop it for about 20 minutes to get everybody out there. Remember that? And you were like, hey, guys, we will sit here all day and look at everybody standing on the starting line if that's what we're going to do.
And it took 10 minutes before they believed us. They all started getting, griping and whatever, and they got out of the way, So
the same thing goes with street racing. Like in all the street racing that I used to do, Limpy was the smartest guy. If you were past the starting line, we're not running them.
Right.
People that pulling down on the backside and stand down on the top end, he'd send somebody down there and go, hey, get out of the way. You get down here and get behind, or we're not running them, period.
Right.
And it takes what you're talking about, Warren, just in enforcing what rules are set. I mean, it's the only way. I mean, look, at the end of the day, when you get a lot of people in one place, it's like herding cats, right?
Yeah.
They all are free thinkers. That's part of the problem. Sometimes your free thinking is the problem, right?
Right.
So trying to make people understand that, that's why I was saying what I meant earlier. We have to do better as individuals, as racers, to make it better for owners and people that are putting on the event, because at the end of the day, we're responsible for our own actions, and it sucks that the track, is responsible for some of those actions as well. And, if everybody's doing their due diligence, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's just like, man, some people's kids,
people's kids. I was going there.
Kevin Williams says a broken axle in the burnout can be catastrophic.
Yep.
Or Chad in a station wagon. We were running Daphne's wagon at North Star at Denton in True Street, and there were a jillion people on the starting line. And I told Cole, I said, dude, you better stay out of the way because I'm going to swing this bitch wide. And I went in the water and I swung the ass end out by the wall, and they were literally jumping over the wall when they saw this giant station wagon quarter panel coming at them, the sideways burnout. Dudes literally jumping over the damn wall because the bumper was this far from it, but it was like, dude, get the hell out of my way. This is my racetrack now. I own this lane right here. This is mine. Y'all get out of the way, and
while we're on that same topic, think back to the topic we were just on about, like the shot clock deal with Jake's race and running events at a pace. If you're spending time moving people off the racetrack, you're not running cars. And what's the very thing we always hear from racers? Oh, we didn't get enough passes at Test and Tune. Well, because we were moving 40 of your buddies out of the way.
Yeah.
So and that race,
not only is it safety, it's, hey, we're trying to get the race done at a decent time, and we're trying to get you more runs in the allotted time that we have.
Yep.
Well, and like Ryan's talking about, Radio Roundup, I love the race, love it, right? Can't wait, but we finished at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Like,
that ain't fun, man.
Dude, that sucks.
2 nights in a row, didn't it? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thursday into Friday, or Friday into Saturday, and then
Saturday into Sunday. I mean, I don't know why I went home on, on Friday night. Like, I should have just slept in the tower.
Yeah.
Because it would have been better because of the driving and the thing. Yeah, no way.
Well, but I would have stayed with you, but there's just no way, buddy. I was going to fall asleep where I was at.
The long-term effect of a deal like that has got to be devastating because, if you're a racer, do you want to go to a race that you know is not going to get done until 5 a.m. 2 nights in a row?
Not unless
you may be there that time, but you won't come back for the next one.
You've seen it. You know how that is.
Yeah. I mean, I used to go to the track to. If I wanted to have an early night, I would go to the track on an off night and I go race, do whatever, test whatever we were doing. And I knew that if I was street racing Saturday night, it's not starting till midnight. We're not meeting till midnight. We may not race till 2 or 3 in the morning. That's acceptable because that's just part of that lifestyle.
Right.
But when I go to the track,
That's
I want to be a final round at 11 o'clock, not beginning a second round, and I'm an hour and 20 minutes from my house.
Yeah. I'm not showing up at 4:30 in the afternoon to still be racing.
I mean,
at 4:30 in the morning.
Every person that comes there to watch and brings their kids are putting themselves and their kids at risk driving home at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And Jake's always with me. He's my right-hand man. So I got to think about that, and I have to go.
Right.
So I don't know.
There are a lot of, there are a lot of people involved in every race, right? Whether it's the racers, the spectators, the crew, whether it's safety crew, track crew, tower crew, all that. I mean, there are way more people than most people realize are involved. And, if you're a racer, like half the racers are not going to like being there that late. The half that don't care, like you have to understand that you got to sit down in a chair and chill and hang out or go take a nap in the tow rig or whatever. But all these people in the tower that have been working since the beginning, they didn't get that. They don't get to take a nap. They don't get to take a break. They're most of the time eating a sandwich at the desk, at the computer. Like that's, it just goes on and on and on.
In the water box, eating a sandwich or that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's one of those deals where the bigger the show, I get it. I mean, when you're trying to cram a big show, like Radio Roundup's a big show. I mean,
it is.
How many cars they have there? What, 200?
I don't know, 300 and something last time. Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, that's a big show you're trying to cram in. They got a ton of classes, and kudos to them for putting together that monster of a race. You know what I mean?
It's great.
It just sucks when you have, and most of the time, to be honest with you, it's not the radio racing that's the problem. It's the grudge racing that gets put in there in the middle.
Yes.
Right. I mean, last year was the biggest delay was the no time deal.
Yes.
Which
is the filler, so
it's the filler, and it fills it to the point where, no one cares.
Yeah.
And to come back to what you were talking about, the track crew and all of the being 15, 16, 17 hour days, there's a cost associated with that. You can't double up on everybody and have somebody come in for 8 hours and have a second person come in for 8 hours, because it's hard enough to find the first person to come in,
right?
Let alone trying to. Yeah.
And you're talking about overtime, and you're talking about if you work a person for 16 hours, and then by the time they go home and by the time they get back, right, they've had maybe 6 hours at their house, which means maybe 5 hours of sleep. And they're, in this 24-hour period, like it's, you might be able to do that for one night or two, right? But when you're doing a 4-day bracket race, like you're talking about, Tyler, dude, you will kill your employees. You will burn them out. Yeah.
And then announcers that come in, I don't know, I'm not an announcer, but I would assume that it's hey, we'll pay you X amount of dollars to announce this weekend, right? It's not an hourly deal, right? So you agree to X amount of dollars, and they say, no, you're announcing for 59 hours straight. Yeah. Nobody signed up for that.
Nope. and I can tell you 100%, like, I do all of Holly's events and I love them to death. We got one coming this weekend. But I will tell you that my normal deal with a Holly event is that I have to be at the racetrack at 6 a.m. for a staff meeting. Okay. I start announcing at 7:30, but I'm there at 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. And like LS Fest in Bowling Green, Kentucky, like I'm doing the burnout contest. I'm doing all that stuff. By the time I get done and get back to where my car is and do all the things, it's on an early night. It's 10 p.m. Okay. And so by the time I get to the hotel and I get to sleep and then I get back up at 5 a.m. to get back to the sleeping is not a thing, it's just not enough to count. Yeah. So the hourly rate, McDonald's would,
$7.50 an hour
about that
good right now.
Yeah. That's $18 an hour at the McDonald's by my house right now. Bad number. I gotta tell you.
Don't think about it too much.
I know.
They don't. We always have people that'll say, "Man, that's got to be a fun life, y'all. You guys live and stuff like that." Yeah, let's not talk about it, because if we talk about hours that we work to pay that we have, we would all be very depressed human beings.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
If you love it, you love it, you do it, you do it. It really doesn't matter. Everything falls into place. But it's just something to think about. But yeah. It's
I know we've been.
This sounds like another discussion that we need to be having.
I was fixing to say this is completely another episode.
I know we should. Yes, you're thinking about getting into the racing world.
Let's talk about it.
To grow our sport.
Get back to your topic. It's stupidity wreaking havoc, and that's require insurance.
Yeah,
exactly.
So,
I wanted to get into the insurance deal, and the guys from Laris, I was trying to get them on tonight. We're an hour and a half in, so I think we're going to have to shelve that one. But I will say, I don't believe I would have insurance on I do insure my race cars. My race cars are drag and drive cars, so they're insured through Haggerty, so it's okay. But if I had a car that was only a drag car, I can't afford to replace the junk I have, so I would have to pay to insure it. And I don't think that, I'm sorry, but I see all you guys with toter homes and stackers and, 2 juniors and 4 dragsters and a door car and all the shit. Like, you can afford to insure your crap, or else you wouldn't have all of that fancy shit.
And to talk a little bit about Larice, it's Larice, not Larry.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Holden and Ross, both racers, they turn on a lot of wind lights. They're very good at what they do. But Rudy and Ross made their bones in the maritime industry, insuring that. So they have a very good, strong insurance base of like $1 billion, right, with a B. Holden saw a need in the marketplace for insurance because, before they came along, who was out there? You got Haggerty, and
that's it. Haggerty's
a good company, but they don't provide key-on insurance when you're on a racetrack, right?
Correct. Right.
Larice does. They're
right.
On track, off track. They can do everything from top to bottom, the race car, the toter home, the stacker trailer, everything for your operation.
And they value your components from, they know what the value of those things are, where, you can't bitch at State Farm for not knowing what the real value or believing what the real value of your dragster is. Ryan works for an insurance company. You can't
say call State Farm, see if they'll insure you.
You can't bitch about the fact that they didn't cover my stuff. Well, dude, hello.
Anytime we have claims with their specialty stuff on it, I cover it for the whole company all over 39 states, basically, because nobody knows,
Right.
Somehow that whole old joke about what I really paid for it versus what I told my wife I paid for it,
Yes.
How you evaluate. Putting value.
That's how the insurance is normally. Yes.
Exactly. Everybody thinks stated values are your great saving grace, and they're not.
They're not.
No.
It's all. Listen, I've been in it for a long time. It's all scam in some form or fashion. It just is what it is. Probably get fired for it, but it's what it is.
And Holden and them, like you said, are racers, right? They're the real deal, and so are their agents. Okay, everybody in the company is a racer, and that's cool. And I think that if you look at, the reasons for having it, okay, how many people have you heard about in recent years? And the number's small, but we still have heard about all of them, where a lithium battery burns a car and truck and trailer to the ground, right? Well, that isn't going to be, if your tow rig burns to the ground because it was still attached to the race car trailer and and race car that are not insured, enjoy that argument with your insurance company. You know what I mean? So
all the time, man. I have to have those discussions with people all the time.
Well, and I know that I don't know the names or the cars involved. I can just tell you that this quick story is that at Thunder Valley, there was a guy in a Fox Body Mustang who was at a No Prep Kings race. He was racing there in one of the small tire things. He crashed his car. He then thought it was a good idea to take said car, which still ran enough to move, off property and then drive it into the side of a bridge abutment and call his insurance guy. And his insurance covered it completely. Mm-hmm. And then the crash was in the highlight reel for the NPK show on TV that his insurance agent happened to see.
Yeah, I work very closely with.
He went to jail and had to pay all the money back.
Yeah. Hey, they don't mess around. I work very closely with SIU investigators. I'm actually trying to be one myself. So
yeah,
they don't mess around with that stuff. If they got enough to prosecute you, they're going to prosecute your ass. But people still like to play with fire. It is what it is. That's what keeps us busy. Hey, work environment. We got lots of it. Come on. Keep on coming. Let's do it.
God. Well, we'll get Larice on to do a show where we're talking about it in more in depth, because I'd like to hear from their side as to, what are the things you have to consider. And I have not gotten a quote from them. I just haven't. But from what I've been told, it's very reasonable coverage. And you can get off track where it covers all of your stuff for the 99.9999999% of the time that it exists, and not do on track, or you can do both. So, obviously the on track is going to be a little more expensive than the other, but the other is the important part, so, cause the reality is we are hardly driving our cars. I mean, you and Jake, like, you hot lapped that dragster of yours all weekend long. It probably wasn't actually under full throttle for a grand total of about 5 minutes the entire weekend.
I was going to say 3.5 minutes, if that.
Yeah, there you go. See? So, the on-track time is very, very small, but the towing it, it in the garage, all that shit, that's when stuff happens,
And Holden and them, they're really good people to deal with. Like, we deal with them on the PDRA side. They're a partner of ours at the series. And they'll usually send an agent out to events, and we see it all the time of people signing up, getting quotes while they're at the racetrack, everything. They do a really good job in the industry, and we're glad to be a partner with them and glad to see what they're doing for our sport, because it's saved a lot of people's investments, a lot of people's sport or teams. I've watched friends of mine that have had to have their insurance policy paid off, and it's like, hey, we had an accident. It saved us, and we were able to build something else and do something again where, I say it all the time. People say, oh, you have race cars. I'm like, no, I call them investments. And it's like, because at the end of the day, you can still sell this at a point. Yes, you can invest it, and it's a gamble to go race and try to win money and all that. But like my Camaro, I don't think I'll ever sell that car. So it's like, that one's special, and you would never sell anything like that. But they're all investments at the end of the day. They all have a number value. If you got in trouble and needed to sell.
Yeah. Right.
There's a number that can get you out of whatever trouble you're in if needed.
Yeah. And you know what? It's sort of funny, but
deal. And I'm like what you said. If you could ever get Holden on and educate people on what the benefits are, I think that's a hidden agenda or a hidden gem of the side of the world in our sport that's not really tapped into, just because so many people don't understand it.
Yeah, yeah. You watch these guys wad up $250,000 cars. You always hear the first thing that comes in. It's even come out of my mouth. Like, God, how do you come back from that? Well, there's your answer. Yeah. People never want to pay for insurance, but there are times where it's never going to completely indemnify you.
Correct.
They like to say that they want to indemnify you, put you back whole. It's never going to put you back whole, but it's going to get you closer than you would have been if you messed out with nothing. So
something's better than nothing when it comes to
absolutely.
Like damn right. And you wad up $250,000 in a split second, even if you only get 180 out of it, it's a hell of a lot better than
better than zero.
Oh yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Guys, I got to call it a night. I got to
get we're gonna shut her down. I appreciate you being here, Tyler, for sure. Ryan, thanks as always.
Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have you on again for sure. Warren, thank you so much for joining us tonight as well. And
happy to be
everybody that's at home that watched tonight, we really do appreciate you guys. Great show. Hope you guys learned something tonight that won't piss off your local track and make your streamer happy and everybody else, so
but don't piss off your local tracks.
Yeah. Keep your track operators happy, So
and just Just don't do something that'll wind up on 00 shit show.
Hey,
and that's how we end the show.
Fact. Absolute fact, my friends.
Every time we have a team meeting at work, I always tell my teammates, suck less and do better. And that's what we need to do.
That's awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate it. We'll see you next time here on Triple B. Later.